talking to Jennifer. Jennifer Leuvenink is with us today, and she's a long-time homeschooling mom of 2 children, and she's going to join us to talk about homeschooling with teens, which is our theme sort of for this month. And of course, we all know there are many benefits of homeschooling, but I think a lot of parents dread the teenage years. So let's first talk, Jennifer, about some of the benefits that you've experienced, and Wendy and I will just chip in and we can just see where the conversation goes.
The benefits of homeschooling. I think parents almost dread these teenage years coming on, in kind of a fear of having teenagers, just because of the alienation kind of thing it brings. These years tend to bring between parents and children, but it's a move towards independence. For the teenagers, they're going through a new shift, and you have to keep up with it and go with it, and move with it, and change your mind in different perspectives to just grow with them in this new season, and to make the best of it. Where I think homeschooling is a great tool. You always think, okay, maybe I won't be able to do the high school years or the teenager years and send them off to school, but it's much better, so much richer, the things you can add, and just think to keep off all the other unnecessary stuff that would come with teenager years in school settings.
Keeping them away from the peers. One of the things that I found I had to teach my teens is to communicate their feelings and their desires and their frustrations rather than act them out, because teenagers, a lot of parents fear these teenage tantrums and the clashes of the 2 generations and the strong-willed. Have you had to deal with stuff like that with yours as well? How's it gone?
For us, not yet so much. We're still in the beginning, but you definitely see the changes. And I think a big thing to concentrate on now is relationship, above everything else. To keep that relationship, that communication open, just to keep that flow of open communication open and talk about stuff. It changes to a more deepening of conversations and to go through these, because they're also going through a stage of lots of insecurity and finding their own viewpoint over things. And so there could be a lot of arguing and just disagreements, but to talk through them. And I think especially important for the parents to be calm and not give into the emotions. For the parents to be stable and calm, it just changes the whole thing. And
absolutely. I think that what Shirley was saying about being concerned about teenage tantrums and them acting out, the same thing applies to us when we have our buttons pushed. We're so used to having little ones, and you can kind of say to them, well, it's time to brush your teeth and time to go to bed. And those tantrums are controlled because they're little bodies. And you kind of get into that habit of you being able to say, this is how you must appoint your time, do this maths first, do this, then go here. And all of a sudden, they're starting to figure out that they are able to make these decisions for themselves. And perhaps because we're not living and existing inside their brains, they realize that it's actually better for me to sleep an hour longer and stay up an hour later at night. I had one child who worked so much better late at night and then wanted to sleep in during the day. But I had my goals. We wanted to have breakfast, we wanted to do this, we wanted to do that. And I had to actually take a step back and say, but they're becoming this adult with their brain is maturing, and to give them the space. And we're not talking about silly things and disobedience. We're talking just about them getting to know who they are and their opinions. And then also fostering healthy discussion. Sometimes we have a joke that we should have a webcam to listen to some of the discussions that we have over dinner. They're loud and they're vibrant and everybody's got their opinion and, that sort of thing. But the relationships remained intact because it has been there for all those years through primary school. They know that we love them. They know that we're shepherding their lives, that we will do anything for them so we can handle those intense differences of opinions, which I think is also part of homeschooling teens, to give them that platform in which to present their thoughts and ideas in a safe space and say, but do you really think that that is a true representation? Or, have you maybe given into a sort of a more media approach? Is that truth? So I think it's exciting when our kids are in that stage and they're starting to show their thought processes.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't, see it in a fearful way, like disrespecting or rebellion, because it's not. And like one guy said, no one has the teenager's capacity to argue on all sides of an idea in a single conversation.
Yes.
So why is it? Yeah, they are trying to formulate an independent identity in the world of thought. So to give them that platform, as you say, is an amazing opportunity.
No, I was just going to say another lesson that I've realized is that as they are maturing, we also need to respect them and their views when they disagree with ours, with the values and the things that we have taught them, and or just choices that they want to make. And of course, there are boundaries we can set. And I mean, I had an instance this week with one of mine where I said, I know you don't agree with my view on XYZ, but I'm asking you to honor me as your mother and to not do ABC. And say there's all these other areas where you have plenty of freedom, but this is important to me, and so I'm asking you to respect that. And I think when there's mutual respect, then they're more likely to be able to respect a boundary. And likewise, you also need to respect that they may not necessarily share your view on a particular issue, but you have to agree to disagree. So it's a learning process for both the child and the parent as they're growing in maturity, that there has to be this continued mutual respect.
Yeah, and then pulling it back into the homeschooling space, because those are relational things. But in the homeschooling space, I think one of the privileges that we have is because we have, we hope that we've done a good job in giving our children those basics when they're little, in terms of, we do schoolwork and we learn to read because it's a skill that you need lifelong, and you get those sort of disciplines and those habits and routines in place so that by the time they get to high school, you shouldn't still be fighting about those battles, right? They should have thought through the fact that they are now starting to take over the ownership of their education. And you are now stepping out of that teacher role into being more of a facilitator and a resource gatherer and an encourager along the way. Have you, Jennifer, started to feel that shift now as your children move into their teen years, where they are starting to take up the reins of their own education?
I've definitely seen a shift, yes. And it's like, they are, they are not prideful, but it's for them. I'm in charge of my own education, and I want to be somewhere, and I want to do this and this when I'm, my future career. So this is what I want to do, to input into it. And so there's definitely they want to take the lead in their education, although you facilitate definitely and guide and just get the resources for what they need, for where they want to go. So that definitely helps. And they feel good about it. They feel good to what they are putting into their work. And
and then any other, if you were now sitting down with your friend over coffee and her kids were like 11, 12, so they haven't quite hit the big 13th birthday. Shirley, let's start with you. What would you say to your friend looking forward, like they've got another 5 years until they're 18, and at 18, generally, most kids are now rounding off. What would you say is the nugget that they need to hold on to through those years, those last sort of 5 years of homeschooling? And then Jennifer, after Shirley's had her say, then let's hear from you what you would say to your friend over coffee.
I think it's relationship. because the academics, you've got your whole life to do what you need to do, and the kids will eventually figure out what they want to do if they don't already know. I mean, some do, and I think they're the lucky ones if they do know what their career goals are, and some are still going to just go along the path of life, and somewhere along the line hopefully they'll stumble on something that they really want to do. But I think through those ups and downs of these difficult years, you want to try and build as good a relationship as you can with each child. And it's different, in different seasons you're closer to different children for different reasons perhaps, or they pull away for different reasons. But I think we have to keep on pursuing them.
Yeah.
And we have to be the initiators, because often they aren't. They're busy with other stuff.
Yeah. Jennifer?
Yeah, I think it is that draw towards independence that you can see they're moving away from you, and it's a good thing, although it might for a mom's heart be a kind of a sad thing, not snuggling into your bed in the mornings anymore to read.
Yeah.
They're reading their own books in their rooms.
Yeah.
It's to give them that wings all the time to know.
Totally. Yeah. And then I just, in terms of what I would say is that there was a book that I read years ago by Ted Tripp called Age of Opportunity. And I read in his book once that whenever your child comes to you, and often with a teenager, it will be late at night, be available to hear from them. And I was like, oh my gosh, you must sleep. And it is so true that just having those little opportunities when the child approaches you, instead of pushing into their lives all the time, being just available and letting them come. And how many wonderful, productive discussions I've had with my children, sacrificing that bit of sleep to sit and just talk to them when it's dark and it's quiet and they're alone, especially when there's large families involved. Just make yourself available in those teen years. So I think those are 3 good tips. Relationship. Jennifer, you said giving them the wings that they need, and then my one, just adding in, making sure that you use those opportunities. So, well, hopefully that's been encouraging. Is there anything else you want to add, Jules?
No, I think we can end off there. Jennifer?
I'd like to say, like James Dobson said, and that stuck with me, like, when your teen goes through these teenage years until 18, they are literally on a river full of rapids, and your mission is just to calmly get him through to the other side. Don't make an issue of every little rapid. Just help them calmly through and be excited. I think just be excited with him for the teenage years.
Yeah, fantastic. That's lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jennifer. It was really great chatting.
It's always nice.